So this is more on wonder cunt Merrick Garland. Classic fucking bureaucratic coward. And he's worried about threats of violence. Let me tell you something, Mr. Garland. If I had children and you and your son-in-law with your panorama polluted my child's soul, I would hunt you down. I would fucking hunt you down, you piece of shit. How's that? Lucky for you, I don't have kids. And for all you parents out there, you limp dick parents who tolerate this, first of all, the very first thing you should do as a baseline protest is to pull your kids out of these schools. Okay? And then this little weasel Garland, this little coward who doesn't have a manly cell in his body, wouldn't have a choice but to listen to you. Pull your kids out of these cesspools called public schools. They want to teach your children how to be degenerate. They want to send boys in skirts into the lavatory where your daughters go. And you do nothing about it. That's on you. I have listened to parents bitch about this shit since at least 1990. And I have taken many of them to task. And they've all said, well, it's easy for you. You don't have kids. Regardless of the fact that their kids I cared enough to do something about. One in particular, a buddy of mine was a captain on the New York State Police. His daughter was violated by a gym teacher whose father was a family court judge. For over 2 years, I asked my buddy, what's the matter with my little girl? That was his daughter. I used to change her diapers. So I was involved. What's the matter with, I won't say her name. And for 2.5 years, he stonewalled me. She's 15, she's 16, Charlie, she's 17. Really? Well, after Katrina, I was to pull a camper down to Selma, Alabama from Kingston, New York, with 7 other guys, a Christian group, for the people who lost their homes. We all did that deal, but when I went up to this place, I met a woman, and she thought I was familiar and asked me if I was from the town, and I said no, but my best friend lived there. I said his name, and she said, isn't he a trooper? I said, he's a captain. And she said, oh, yeah, his daughter and my daughter used to be best friends. Isn't that terrible what that gym teacher did to her? And I made believe I knew what she was talking about. And so very carefully did I extract from this woman everything she knew about it. Once I gathered myself after feeling like I was kicked in the groin, having heard this, I was in shock. And the woman, smart gal that she was, covered her mouth and said, I shouldn't have been telling you this. I said, no. I'm discomforted because I can't believe anybody knew about this. Oh, she said, a lot of us know about it. That very next night, I was to watch my buddy's son play in a football game. And so I confronted him. And he panicked, rolled his eyes back in his head. This is a captain on the New York State Police, head of special weapons and SWAT. And we walked around the stadium, got around the other side of the field, and did he confess to me and laughingly said, I can't believe how you wouldn't relent. But I didn't want you to do something drastic, and I was afraid you'd end up in prison. Well, I don't know if I would have ended up in prison, but I would have done something biblical to that gym teacher, so help me God, Mr. Garland. But 2.5 years after the fact, it was moot. I won't get into the rest of this story because it sickens me. What they had to do to get this teacher fired, by the way, if it wasn't for other gals who came forward over a 10-year period that he had done the identical thing to, this guy would still be in that job. And think about this. This was a captain on the state police, and he damn near got away with it. Because the school circled the wagons. There was another incident where a teacher had made a remark about President Bush and asked the son, "Who do you think you are, George Bush, Adolf Hitler?" This particular young lad was like my own son, and he lost his uncle on 9/11. A Rescue One guy. Well, I called the school, and I told the principal, without identifying myself, this will not happen again, or there will be repercussions of biblical dimension. Now, all I can tell you is that boy told me that that teacher never said anything like that again, but I can't be sure that. But this is what's been going on in public schools for 40 years. And how many of the parents, "I don't want my kids marked. I don't know what to do. I can't, I want my kid to go to college." Go along to get along. They can rape your children. They can rape your children's soul. Just get that bumper sticker that says your child is an honor student. Take the cookie. Lose your soul. This is all on the parents of America. You've all sat back and taken it. All of yous. And I've heard all the excuses. "Well, you don't have kids." I don't have kids. I wonder why. And I'll tell you what I tell most of my friends. I saw this shit coming 40 years ago. Between the Virginia Slims ad. You know, women can be men. And the men should go and cry. Remember those days? "I want a sensitive man." Yeah, right up to the time she left him for the garbage man. Now, lest I sound a little cynical, but most of the people who know me begrudgingly admit how right I was. And I don't need to hear that shit. Because they've cost me my country. It's right out of the Marxist playbook. Give us one generation and we'll change that nation. And they have. I mean, I went to my nephew's wedding not long ago, and the best looking guy in the group was a girl dressed like a man. But I can't say anything because, you know. But it's funny how when I walk into the room, everyone stares at me like, "Oh my God, what's he going to say?" And I usually say nothing at this point because it's moot. And my sister said, "Well, I really love her." Really? Dressed up like Elvis Presley? I don't know. This is my own sister. All I know is I wouldn't tolerate a scintilla of this bullshit. I've known how dirty school boards are since I was in high school, and that's 50 years ago. The politics. Now, I grew up in a liberal county, in a liberal town. So I thought, well, this is kind of a unique situation. But the cancer has spread across the country. And it's beyond sickening. And now you got scumbags like Merrick Garland, part of the franchise, the Attorney General, sicking the power of the FBI on families who have the temerity to protect their children's souls. No, you're supposed to sit like a good little Bundist and listen to this crap. And you punk Merrick Garland, while you get enriched, your scumbag son-in-law and your lousy daughter are making a fortune off this panorama crap. That's a violation of the ethics code of the United States government. But you pick and choose your laws, don't you, Mr. Garland? And then you get up and you lie, because that's your DNA. That's what rats do. You lie. You obfuscate. "I didn't know. I never saw this memo." He wrote it. You piece of shit. And you think you're going to pull this off with all the thuggery of the FBI behind you. Well, I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of guys like me. And you better think about that.